Let me officially start our meeting. Nice to see you. Nice to meet you. And actually, this is not my first lecture. I lecture actually for 2 years. And this is a series of lectures about martial arts. My native language is Russian. So sometimes, of course, I do it in English, but not so often as in Russian. But I hope everyone will understand my English. So if some problem, just let me know. I will try to explain it better. Yes. And this lecture actually the idea came to me a couple of months ago. I didn't think, to talk about etiquette and rituals, but then I was kind of looking at my students at my dojo at the university, and I also do psychotherapy. I was looking at my clients, patients, and I was thinking that okay, anyway, when we communicate, there are some definite rituals and there are some rules, but we don't talk always about these rules. And then I was thinking, okay, so since I started to do the martial arts, everyone was talking about the code of honor, yeah, Bushido, the way of warrior, Budo, and etc. Yeah, and of course, in martial arts, kind of our teachers, our senseis, they really tell us about these rules. So what we have to do, or what we can't do, for example. But when I was looking at my university students, I was thinking, okay, sometimes they really don't know what to do. Because, I mean, when they start to study at the university, some of them, they already have this education that starts in family. They're very respectful, they know the rules, and they kind of listen their teachers. But actually, university has also some rules, and some of them I can see they literally kind of do the study and they respect teachers and they understand. I don't know how to explain. Sorry if I do it very complicated for you, but it's like it's a metaphoric, yes, since they really can understand how to be a student at the university. They really, without, I mean, special things that someone was telling them. They're reading special guide like Bushido, how you have to behave at the university. Yeah. But in that sense, I was thinking, okay, so in martial arts, it's really easy. I mean, it can be really helpful because when we kind of stand in this way, and when we come to dojo, and we remember that dojo from Japanese language, we can translate as the place where we can find some way, where we seek or looking for some way. Yeah. So, and when we come to the dojo, it's not only for training. Yeah, our teachers, our colleagues, if I can say like that, people who train with us, they really explain us. Sometimes explain us with words, sometimes explain us with their actions. And for example, we were discussing before I started recording of this lecture that there is a different way how we explain these rules in martial arts tradition, for example, in European, American tradition, Australian, yes, tradition, I believe New Zealand and etc. And all this, traditions. How to say? Well, people we use words. Yeah, so and to explain something, we really use our language, literally words. But in Eastern tradition, I mean, by Eastern tradition, it's like I'm talking about Japanese tradition, Korean maybe, yeah, and Chinese tradition of martial arts. They usually show these things with behavior, yeah, or with body language, if I can say like that. So you have to understand, yeah, kind of something, not literally with words, but you have to catch, yeah, this idea. But anyway, in martial arts, people are explaining. So we explaining these things, and we know that these rules are existing. And actually, that kind of I was thinking it may be really useful, yeah, for everyone, yeah, to talk a little bit about etiquette, because etiquette, the word etiquette, actually, as I can understand, it came to the language from French word, as I can understand. But etiquette wasn't invented just this year or last century or even a couple of centuries ago. So it has a really, really long history. So, okay, if you have maybe some questions now, or maybe some comments, sorry, you can tell, because if not, I will continue with lecture. I want to show PowerPoint presentation. So do you have any comments, any words you want to say, any sign, any body language? Okay. Okay, onegaishimasu. Let's do it together. Okay, I will try to show you my PowerPoint presentation. This part is usually also difficult for me because sometimes I show you these things and people can't see screen. So tell me, please, do you see? So can you read? I mean, do you see
Yes.
like full screen? Yeah, so you can see the names and etc. Yeah, because I can do it like, wait a second, like this. So it's better. Yes. Okay. So etiquettes and actually there is another word here, rituals in martial arts. But tell me before I continue, do you understand the word etiquette and do you understand the word ritual? I'm sure in your own way. Can you tell me how you understand uh, these words?
From my
I think
side,
ritual.
Ah,
sorry. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, go.
Uh-huh.
I think rituals is more about traditions and how it used to do it before we.
Uh, okay, so rituals, it's about traditions. Okay, how we use it. Okay. Mm-hmm. Aida, you
So
started.
in my from my side, it is same. It's like I want to continue this kind of like uh point of view that rituals, in my understanding, is like for specific some group that they are doing, like something, or maybe like some country or some like nationality.
Mm-hmm.
But etiquette is like general that we are doing like as human everywhere, kind of.
Okay, so okay, I understand. So rituals are more for some groups like culture, but etiquette is like more universal for you, yeah? Okay. Yeah, some other answers if you want.
Would associate etiquette with being like a polite behaviors to express my, uh, I don't know how to put it, but respect towards someone.
Mm-hmm.
While rituals are very often something that we do as a behavior. This is the way we repeat the same action in a specific manner for, I don't know, for different reasons, I guess.
Okay, okay, yes, yeah, thanks. Okay, some other ideas?
I think also etiquette is like about respect for each other with unsaid words.
Okay, okay, understand. It's interesting. I will continue. Yeah, I mean, it's like I don't want to define now the word etiquette. Ah, sorry, it's about me. This second slide, it's about me because I was thinking if we do it for recording and someone doesn't know me, I have to show this part in my presentation who actually I am as a lecturer of today's online session, if I can tell like that, not only a lecture. Yeah, before I tell about myself. So the etiquette, actually, this word, it's literally has different definition in different language. But in my presentation, I actually paid attention on that. So that is why you will see later when we will be talking about this definition, how we will answer. And it's actually also about this different understanding, of etiquette and rituals. But they are connected, of course. They are not like different phenomena. They are interconnected. Okay, so I will tell about myself a little bit, but I believe people know me. So actually, I have a degree, scientific degree in psychology, and that is why my lecture today will be, have more this psychological part, because as a martial artist, I also a teacher of Aikido. I have course done from Aikikai Hombu Dojo. I've been practicing Aikido about, I believe, 20 years. But I was interested in martial arts when I was a kid, so it's a long time when I was kind of interested and was near with martial arts. But as a Aikido teacher, usually, I mean, I use words, but it's easier when we are in dojo to show something and demonstrate with technique and actions. So I will talk about something, but today, actually, I want to highlight some psychological component of these things. I think it will be interesting because, anyway, people who are here now, you all practitioners, yeah, so you know how to do it, how to experience, but people who actually will be watching us and doesn't know uh, how to do it, they can have this experience in real life. It will be a little bit kind of different. And continue about myself. I have experience also in psychotherapy of addictive and addictive behavior and co-addiction. It's like chemical addiction. Mostly I was working almost 20 years with chemical addiction and co-addiction. But I was also interested in topics of virtual reality, computer games, and I was always interested in philosophy. My teacher was a representative of existential direction, and that is why now in psychology I'm trying to kind of to connect actually philosophy of martial art of Aikido with existential direction in psychology and psychotherapy. So as a psychotherapist, I'm trying to do it. And they have common principles. So they look different, but actually they have the same principles because as Aida mentioned about etiquette, that it's something universal. Actually, human being is a universal things, and we have some common things. And in that sense, in this direction and existential, we are trying to look on human being, not like on a psychic, but in general on life and on principles. And in Aikido, we do the same. So it's about me a little bit. That is why I kind of doing this series of lectures, and it's not my first lecture. Okay, this is definition. How I find it. Actually, this is the easiest way I usually do. I use Wikipedia. Because why actually I use Wikipedia? Because it has different languages, and usually people who create the content, they are actually the native speakers of this language. That is why we can see a little bit different discourse, yeah, how people understand these phenomenons. So etiquette, as I mentioned before, actually came from French. Yeah, understanding it's like it was like a ticket, yeah, ticket that people were given on some special social, occasions. But we can see the definition. It's like a norms of personal behavior in polite society. It's like polite. And it's like an ethical code, yeah, that we expected from other people. Yes, and so it's usually connected with some social classes or social groups. Actually, classes is also groups. And this French word etiquette means like ticket label and tax orient. English is not my native. That is why I translated literally, yeah. But it means not ticket, it's a label and tag. Yeah, and actually, if you can see the date, it's 18th century. Actually, this was still the era of kings. I mean, kings, queens, and etc. So this word came from this part. But it has long history. Actually, I won't be so detailed. It just you can have a look it anywhere. It's not a secret, but what we should understand, it's this code of honor, as we can call it here, was invented many years ago. It first mentioned was in Egypt, then Greece, Rome, and in Egypt there was, some special book, yeah, instructions of Kagemi, so how people should behave themselves. So it was 5,000 years ago. So can you imagine, yeah, when we uh, when we were developing, we know that we were not like now or like even 5,000 years ago, but these things I believe make us like really humans. It's like we trying to regulate how we should interact, yeah, with each other, and these things kind of invented many years ago. And some roots, of course, we have in Japan and China. We are actually neighbors with China because I'm lecturing from Kyrgyz Republic, and we have borders with China. But anyway, I'm not Kyrgyz, but Kyrgyz people, Kazakh people, and all our neighbors, Uzbek and etc. We are Central Asian people, and we have some, similar things with China. It's like a code of honor. We, from our childhood, we graduated to be very respectful to elders. Yeah, yeah. So it's like by default, person who is older than me, he has more experience. Then I have to be more attentive to his words. But these things actually in China. Why I'm talking about about China, because in China, this. Great teacher that everyone knows in the world is like Confucius. Confucius, sorry. In Russian, it's like Confuzi, yeah? I shouldn't say like Confuci. I'm not sure that I pronounce it in English correct way, Confucius, yeah? And maybe you have also read his books, but it's like, this is really like a code of honor, how we should behave, how we should study, and etc. And many people in China and still follow these rules. It's very traditional, but these things was spread all over the world. And you see, so he was living actually 6th and 5th year century BCE. So it's many centuries ago, but we still, yeah, follow some rules. And not in Kyrgyzstan, but in China, I believe they still follow this governmental morality. So it's very influential in China. But some legacy in Eastern countries, of course, we have, like in Japan, maybe you also know that they also have the influence of Taoism and some legacy. They were reading, yeah, of course, these books and etc. And so later, if talk about not Eastern, yeah, part of the world, but you can see the countries like Spain, France, and etc. So all of them, they had their own etiquettes, and it was really, it was the books sometimes, and there was special place where it was written. You see, so it's not like we are all of us when we are communicating with we have some rules, but we can't read about these books everywhere, about these rules everywhere. Sorry, but here we had some legacy, like books, literally. And so key features, yeah, in the scenes and key themes. It's like etiquette we need for power and control. We actually use etiquette, and it's like, shows us some differences between classes. Actually, we can see these traditions very, how to say, very pure in martial arts. For example, the person who has a higher degree than me, like he is, for example, black belt, and I am, for example, white belt, and I always have to listen to him, and it's like that means he's master. I'm not a master. It's not a big group, it's not a class, but we can kind of spread this idea on big classes, like rich people, like poor people. Like in India, for example, there's divisions also. And it's also very interesting. For example, in Kyrgyzstan, maybe some of you know that we have it's like a business, yeah. Have many medical schools, and many people from India and from Pakistan, they come here to study medicine. And usually the organizers, I mean the owners of the school, they try to follow these traditions. They're trying to follow, if I can say like that, the etiquette. So I can't, for example, put this person from India from this group together, for example, with that person from India from another group. Yeah, because they will be maybe they can find some common language, but anyway they can uh, have a conflict. Yeah, so sometimes the owners, they see on this, they look on these things and try to reduce the conflict in the group, because it's not always useful for study. They try to also follow this tradition. So it's also about national identity. Yeah, so I was talking about this. It's about nationality, all these things. And this year, how we understand in different languages the word etiquette, actually. It's very similar, but the thing, it's like, if you can see sorry, I can't see. My screen doesn't allow me to see the full presentation. But you can see the difference that in some countries, for example, it's more about social code, yeah. But in some countries, we can see the definition more about rituals. So they're highlighting this part of etiquette. Actually, they're connected, yeah. And in Japanese language, it's very interesting. They really have this division on public and personal norms. So it's like personal etiquette and public etiquette, and they differ the things. As I can remember, no one of you didn't mention about these differences here. It's like etiquette is it's etiquette, but it's not like for me and like. For people, it's really interesting, and it's based, of course, on their traditions like Shinto Buddhism, plus some influence, of course, of Western tradition that had some impact on Japan at the end of 19th century. Yeah, and in Arabic countries, I was also interested in Arabic language. I have many patients from Arabic countries, and maybe that last festival on martial arts we had in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, so. And there was a huge Aikido demonstration, actually. As I can remember, it was last autumn, yeah, the 2024, something like that. And they have influence of France, of course. And the word etiquette came from France. So it was really interesting. But they highlight this idea of respect, yeah, of tact, yes, and all these things in Arabic cultures. Okay, next. Sorry. Yes. Some technical issue. You still can see, yeah, the presentation. Okay, sorry. So all common things, yeah. It's about classes, as I told, about some hierarchical things, yeah, about groups, I mean, it's a common thing that we can see in all definitions, but difference so that there is some specifications about, for example, Chinese and Japanese versions, they place a stronger emphasis on historical texts. So they really kind of tell us, please read these books. Yeah, please read the Code of Honor. I mean, in martial arts. Yeah. And in Arabic world, of course, the etiquette connected very close with religious concept. For me, it was really interesting if to continue this idea about etiquette. Maybe that in Aikido traditions, we have this ritual, I can say like that, when we enter into the dojo, we everywhere, all over the world, we have this place that we call kamiza. Yeah, kami is Japanese language means God, gods, not only one God, yeah. And we have to do a bow, yeah, this means. And when we start training, when we finish training, we have to do a bow. And usually, how we do a bow? So it's like we put our hands, yeah, on the mat, on the tatami, and do a bow. So sometimes people are telling that we are giving hearts, yeah, in that sense. It's like symbolic things. But when we had this festival of martial arts in Saudi Arabia, it was my first experience when I saw this. They forbid, yeah, if I can say like that, forbid to do a bow. You remember, yeah, the things. They kind of asked Japanese. Really the representative of Japanese culture, they asked them to use another sign. It's like another ritual. So they didn't do a bow, they did like this. Yeah. But anyway, it's a bow. So I put my hand on a heart. But you know why, yeah? Maybe you know, or maybe you can tell me why. You have the answer, I believe, that you really know why it was like that. Why do you think it was like that?
I think it's because of religion.
Yeah. Because yes, so that is why, yeah, this very close connection to religion. That in Arabic words, sorry, and in an Arabic world they have this ritual, yeah, when they pray, yeah, they do a bow. But anyway, so sometimes we know the rule, but sometimes to respect other culture, we can change these rituals, yeah. So, as we know already, rituals and etiquette, they are deeply interconnected. It's not like we can follow the etiquette without using the rituals. So it's like one of the main things in actually etiquette. But we can do some rituals, as for example, my colleagues who are here and they study psychology, yeah, they know that sometimes people have this ritual behavior, as we call it, yeah, and sometimes it can be very, very, how to say, it can influence on their life, and then we can talk about obsessions, yeah, obsessive compulsive disorder, for example, when a person can't cope with these rituals. For example, he had to wash his hands for 100 times before he wants to leave the apartment, yeah, because it's a ritual I have to do. But why I have to do? I mean, everyone has its own idea, but I will tell about this later. So we need it. Just keep it in mind. Okay, so and in that sense, it's like ritual can create us, yeah, this sometimes very beautiful ceremony that we can see in different cultures. Because etiquette, that's true. I mean, it varies, but anyway, it has some universal things. For example, it doesn't matter if you practice martial arts or if you're kind of a doctor or a teacher, I don't know, student, if you do some other work. So there is professional etiquette, yeah, and there is kind of etiquette, for example, in martial arts, and there is just social etiquette. But everywhere, if we talk about etiquette, the first thing we consider this status. So we have to respect the status. Second thing, for example, in professional etiquette and the social etiquette here in Russian-speaking countries, I'm not sure about other countries, and but in Asian countries also. So first thing, we have to respect the status. Second thing, it's age, and third thing is a gender. So, for example, we can as I don't know how to give you another example. For example, I'm professor of psychology, yeah, and if I kind of will be on some meeting with my colleagues, and some of them they don't have PhD, but I'm younger than these people. By default, it's professional meeting. They have to somehow listen what I'm talking about. They have to respect the things because my status is a little bit higher. Understand? Yeah, these things. But for example, if we are all PhD on this meeting, yeah, all professors, then second thing we have to pay attention. So the age, the one who is older, he is like considered like, oh, he's right. It's not always like that. I mean, it's just etiquette. So this is kind of, yes, I'm trying to tell you, yeah, about. And the third thing is like a gender. For example, in our countries, if you kind of on some meeting trying to introduce men to women, so first you introduce men, then you pronounce women names and etc. And if, for example, you have to say hi, if it's like not professional meeting where status doesn't had this role. Men usually always have to tell hello first to lady. So it's like this is in Russian-speaking countries. I don't know in Asian also, yeah, because in Kyrgyz tradition I believe the same. Yes, but I don't know about by the way Australia. Maybe you can tell us. Kind of we also want to use our chance to know.
Sure, sure. Look, as you guys probably can hear from my accent, I'm not originally from Australia. I moved to Australia 15 years ago. I originally come from Poland.
Okay.
So some of those things are very similar in terms of age, respecting age, even if you believe they are not as smart as you, but still because they are elder, then they deserve more respect and attention for sure. But in Australia, like equality is a big thing, and you address everyone by the first name. There is no rule who should introduce themselves first. For me, big thing was that you can talk and keep your hands in your pockets, and in Poland that would be unacceptable. Here it's like you just chill. um, you start every conversation with "How are you?" For Polish person, if you ask me how I am, I'll tell you about the kidney surgery I had last year, etc. Like here, it doesn't matter. Yeah? It's just being polite. So, from my Polish background, I can relate to many of these things that you are saying. But here in Australia, what I observe, it's like there are social norms, and there's a culture, but in terms of that, respect because of your gender, because of your age, because of your social status, those lines are blurred. And you speak with someone who is a CEO of a big company, and then you talk like friends. You are on the first name basis, so there is nothing like that is very tangible. On the other hand, in dojo, and very many Australians in dojos, they clash with this etiquette where you have a sensei who deserves respect. You bow to kamada, as you mentioned, and it's like very artificial and difficult for them. So when new people come in, they tend to be very relaxed, chilled. They don't have this understanding that you enter dojo and you bow to kamada, etc. So yeah, there's that. Sorry, I talk a lot.
No, it's
Apologies.
okay. Yeah, thank you. But it's very interesting, yeah, and I think sometimes it can be very helpful. It's not only for martial artists, because, for us it's easier, because dojo all over the world, they have the same rules. I mean, it's not always about Aikido, Karate, Judo. I mean, it's the idea the same. It's even Wushu. It's like, okay, they're similar anyway. We have to do bow, some kind of rituals are very similar. But in general, if we talk about different social groups like culture, like countries, yeah, it's really useful to know this. And that in one country, if I say like that, it will be considered by these people as some rudeness, yeah, for example. And if you, for example, need to achieve some goal, of course, it's better to know these rules. Yes, and It can be really helpful. And I know that in Japan, yeah, Ida, if you want to share something, this experience, so you can tell also something, because in Japanese culture, they have a lot of rituals. Like not only in martial arts, it's literally, I mean, it's everywhere. It's like rituals, etiquette, yeah.
So let me say, like the conclusion that it depends on the situation. Where are you and what you are doing? So like each aspect has like own ritual, and it's a little bit difficult for foreigners, of course. So, but in my observe and my like experience, I want to say that it depends what you are doing and where you are doing and who is your partner.
Mm-hmm.
So gender, status, everything is really important here in Japan.
Yeah, and when there are a lot of rules, so it's like really complicated. Yeah, sometimes how to do it. Yeah. Okay. So next, yeah. Next, next. Actually, we were talking about this since already. Yeah, these key functions of etiquette and rituals. Yeah, it's about communication. Yeah, how I can communicate with this person. Really helpful. Yeah, about some hierarchical things, about power, about cultural identity, and actually the etiquette helps us to keep social harmony and order. And that sense, if you try to remember, sorry, your experience with, for example, different people, and you can, I believe, you like more when the person is really polite, know the rules, he respects you. Yes, he kind of knows some etiquette, and it's kind of more pleasant to communicate, yeah, with such a person, but not always we have such people in our life, but it's also experience, yeah. And what etiquette also gives us, it's like moral education. So this legacy we can see literally in China, as I mentioned, yeah, before, and in families, of course, when we are small, our parents they teach us how to behave. Yeah, that oh, you have to say hello to the big people, to adults, and old people first. Yeah, like these things. So it's about morality. Yeah? Actually, it's also about some philosophical things, and because these rituals, these rules, they kind of reflect some really philosophical, our relationship to the life. Not only our cultural relationship to the life, how people yeah, live in this country, how they have to behave. So it's about social existence and etc. And of course, etiquette has a psychological function. Yeah, of course, if you know the rules, you feel a little bit more safe because you can, for example, enter the dojo and you know, okay, if I, for example, black belt, fourth dan, and I'm entering to dojo, if I know these people and I know where I have to sit, literally, yes, at the beginning of the training, because I have this definite position. Or if I don't have, it's like if I'm white belt, I also have to know, yeah, the sense, and it's easier. I know how to behave. And some, in that sense, when we have some stressful situation, these rituals and knowing of etiquette, it helps us. And as we remember, I was mentioning about ritual behavior in some cases when we, as psychologists, have to sometimes do psychotherapy, like with these people who suffer from obsessive compulsive disorder. Actually, rituals in their life, they have some meaning. And probably you already know, yeah, which meaning it has. Do you know, by the way, why they do the rituals? There's people who has diagnosis. Actually, we all do rituals. Not necessarily we have diagnosis, but do you know why they kind of wash their hands, for example, 100 times before they have to leave their apartment? Do you have idea? Okay. No idea. Sorry, for me, it's like, wow, it's very obvious, yeah, but it's not actually. It helps them to reduce the level of anxiety and tense, psychological tense, because if I do this action, I feel more safe, and that is why these actions, these consequences of actions helps me to reduce the anxiety, and then I can continue to do, for example, what I have to do. But in these cases, we are talking about diagnosis, but in everyday life, rituals have the same meaning, actually, since like it helps us to reduce, yeah, the anxiety. And now etiquette in martial arts, finally. But you know about etiquette in martial arts. This is actually a picture from our dojo. And we have our small dojo here. Kyrgyz Republic, and this picture we made at the beginning of the training when we do this ritual mokso, yeah. If to spell it, it's like mokuso. It's yeah, it's spelling like that, but we pronounce it like mokso. That means silent meditation. We do it at the beginning of the training, and we do it at the end of the training. And these rules are for every dojo, not only for Japanese martial arts, by the way. In other martial arts, they also have this practice. And etiquette in martial arts has different traditions, not only, by the way, Eastern, but I started from Eastern, of course. It's a Japanese tradition of Bushido, yeah, the code of honor of samurais, you know. Yes, there are some special rules that I mentioned already, and it's like this rule you also were talking about already, that sensei, the person who is teaches me, he always right. That means I can't um, argue with him. So if even he doesn't write, I mean, it may happen. Of course, we are all human beings. But anyway, in martial arts, by default, the figure of a teacher, of sensei, he always right, because he has more experience, he has more wisdom, he knows more. That is why we really have to follow his rules. This word sensei, as I know Japanese, that means teacher, but it also uses in different areas. Yeah, it's like when I respect someone who is more experienced than me. Yes, Aida-san, just help me. Am I right? It's not only in martial arts tradition. Yeah.
So sensei, it's like includes two kanji. That is my so first kanji, the person who started earlier than me, who
Ah,
is in the yeah, who started earlier than me.
okay, who started?
This kind of
Okay, interesting. Yeah, they sometimes call doctors also like senseis. Yeah.
yeah. So and also you can say how to say in the daily life you can say sensei, the person who really like giving some advice, maybe some
Mhm.
suggestions or something else. You're also saying like sensei.
Yes, yes. But I like this word, you know, when, for example, in Russian language, sometimes we say like, oh, teacher. Okay, teacher, teacher. But when you say like sensei, oh, it has more, you know, symbolic meaning. Like if he's sensei, and we have all this, yeah, things connected with this word. But we have to thank Japanese, yeah, language for this gift. And of course, in martial arts, if talk not about language, but this figure is very important. So usually this person who is more experienced, and that is why there are many rules that connected with sensei. For example, if I want to train in other dojo, I have to ask permission of my sensei to visit another class, another federation, another association. So when I was traveling a lot all over the world, and I was visiting many international seminars on Aikido, and the teachers were high by degree by Dan of my teacher, but anyway, I always kind of telling, yeah, that I will go there, and it's like this. So I have to um, ask for permission. Yeah, and for example, if someone who wants to join my dojo, and this is also a rule. Yeah, you have to ask permission. May I join to your dojo? Can I be your student? Because as I know, some senseis, some teachers, they can really choose their students. Yeah, their pupils. It's not like you don't have enough moral, I don't know, things inside of you to be my student. Like I mean, you of course you all remember all these movies, yeah, about martial arts and maybe about monks, not only about martial arts. When some of these students they were kind of trying to come to the kind of the place where they wanted to study something, to learn something, and teachers didn't allow them. Yeah, it's like, for example, one year I was able to come and ask, please, let me be your student. Maybe you have seen such movies. It's especially these movies. There are a lot of them about China, about Shaolin Monastery. Yes, it's a lot. It's also has a lot of legends, and we have to think in that sense. Bruce Lee, of course, for popularization of martial arts culture all over the world, because it was a little bit closed, yeah, for us. I mean, Japanese culture was more open in that sense. Judo, Aikido, Karate, they started to spread in the world, I believe, in the middle of 20th century. So, for example, the founder of Aikido, Morihei Ueshiba, he sent his direct pupil to different countries, to France, to United States, to Hawaii, and etc. I mean, his direct pupil, because he wanted people they know this martial art. But for example, Wushu tradition, some Wushu traditions, some Wushu schools, they forbid to spread this knowledge. All over the world, because at first they were considering that it's very Chinese things we have to keep in the culture. So that is why there were a lot of rumors about why Bruce Lee kind of died in so early age, because some monks punished him. Maybe you know these rumors, yeah, for allowing him to kind of spread the secrets of martial arts. I mean, but these kind of rumors, of course, but anyway, it has some basement, because China, they at first they forbid, to spread this, martial arts, as I mentioned, but now we have a lot of schools all over the world. It's like Wushu federations, yes, Tai Chi, Tsugun, I'm not sure that I pronounce it in English. It's in Russian, actually, Tsugun. Chigun, maybe. Chigun, how they say. Special, I don't know, actually, in English word. It's like exercise, yeah. Girls, you don't know Tsugun. It's like exercise, a special exercise. Actually, for old people, I don't know why. I mean, not for old, it's for everyone, but usually it practices by old people. Okay, so coming back to etiquette in martial arts, it has Eastern tradition, but of course it has also Western tradition. So I was talking about China and Korea. Of course, you know, Taekwondo. We have also a lot of Taekwondo in Central Asia now. It's very popular. 20 years ago, Aikido dojo were very popular in Central Asian countries, but now Taekwondo from all martial arts, it's on the first place. I mean, MMA, I don't know, Karate, Judo, Wushu, etc., but Taekwondo on the first place. I don't know about other countries, but it's very popular. And European, yeah, tradition, it's like we usually call it like West tradition, because we are in East in that sense. I mean, in Central Asia, yeah. So we also had this like martial artists code. Yeah, it's like different tournaments. Yeah. There was a special etiquette when people were asking to. I don't know how to it's literally very funny. I ask you to be my in duel. Sorry, I mean, like, trying to translate it into English, but it's like I ask you, let's kill together. I don't know, but they in that sense, I mean, I can't use the correct word, but the idea is not like I will kill you, but it's a really polite invitation. Let's kill each other in different place with definite weapons, with definite people, etc. So it's a really etiquette, yeah. And of course, fencing, yeah, it's like some etiquette. It's blade, yeah, we have to respect the blade. We can't attack another person without warning, and etc. So, I mean, each school of martial art has its own etiquette, but what it's really interesting in that sense. I was already telling about this book, dimensions on my previous lectures, and actually, it is in my book about Aikido. And in that sense, martial arts, it has different dimension, and it's not only about physical dimension. For example, in sport activity, it's more about physical, yeah, dimension. But of course, there are some spiritual things when we train, yeah, this in sport tradition also. But anyway, martial arts has this dimension of spirit, of psychology, and of physics, if I can tell like that, yeah. And I mean, physical things is just we are doing some technique. We literally trying to understand our body. I always tell my pupils on Aikido, yeah, you have to first understand your body. You have to feel your body. You have to understand what is your limitation and what are your possibilities, and then you can really cope with another person easier. Yeah, because you know yourself better, and we can develop our image of our body literally with some physical exercises and with communicating. Okay, yeah, this is a special word. The reason Aikido, the person who is receiving, yeah, a technique, who is giving a technique. Nage, the one who is receiving. So it's also part of etiquette, yeah? Not the one who is attacking, but the one who is giving, another one who is receiving. Yeah. It's a part of etiquette of Aikido. Psychological dimension, it's like, of course, understand myself. If I understand my body, I also understand my psychological things. I improve something. For example, if I don't know, very how to say, weak in that sense. Weak, it's in a metaphorical way, so it's not psychological term. It's like, for example, in my life, I can't finish any cases that I started. So usually I'm not attentive, for example. It's very difficult for me to finish something. So in that sense, any practice of sports activity and any practice of martial arts, it's improving this sense. It's a psychological, yeah, component also. And I'm, for example, when I communicating with different people, when I do practice, it's also helping me, yeah, to understand maybe myself, to kind of know something new. We use some meditation, yeah, we use some breathing exercise, so it's very useful, yeah, for this psychological part, as I can say. It's like psychic, this what we usually use in psychology. Yeah? And the spiritual part is very powerful since in martial arts, and this part I like the most. It's very philosophical, yeah, and in that sense, it of course depends on the country where this martial art was invented. So if we are talking about Japanese, yeah, martial arts, it's of course about Zen, Taoism, Shinto, yeah, especially if I'm talking about Aikido. If we are talking about Wushu, it's more about Confucianism, yes. It's like Taoism also, yes. And this things, kind of this philosophical part depends literally sometimes on religion or philosophy that kind of exists in this country. Okay. And these things, all of us, of course, we know. It's just as an example. I don't want to tell this code of honor, this Bushido, because you can, of course, read it, and because people who are watching us now and who are with me in this lecture, you practice, martial arts. I mean, this seven virtues, but anyway, this kind of one of the examples of etiquette in martial arts we have, but this example from Japanese martial arts, that person who kind of learn any martial arts, any kind of martial arts in Japan, yes, we have to, by default, we have to follow these virtues. Yes, so integrity, heroic courage, compassion, duty and loyalty, respect, honesty and sincerity, and honor. And for example, you know that in Aikido we have this tradition, we wear hakama. And actually, I don't know, it depends, by the way, on the school. For example, in our schools, they were taught us if you're only a master, then you can wear hakama. But you know that some schools, they allow to wear hakama from the first day you practice martial arts. I'm not sure. But in our school, it's like this, yeah? And this like symbolizing that if I wear hakama, I'm already master, and all this part of hakama, the seven folds, they represent the virtues of the Bushido. So we have to be very honest, respectful, and etc. So you see, it's a ritual, and it's also ritual, and it's etiquette. So if I'm wearing hakama, I'm a master. I have to fold it after training in different way, and etc. And on this picture, we are doing a technique. You see, both of us we are kind of masters, if I can tell like this. Okay, and key features, and functions of etiquette in martial arts. Of course, it's about physical safety, literally. Because if I do some ritual, it reduce, just stupid killing of another person. As I was trying to kind of give you an example with duel. It's not like I'm just taking my gun and shooting in his head. Yeah, it's literally about respect to my opponent. And it's also about social hierarchy. Hierarchy, yes. The example with hakama, with different bells and etc. It has, of course, some symbolic nature. Yeah, it's like when we do technique, for example, in Aikido with weapon, we kind of give even this weapon in definite way, especially if we are talking about sword. Yeah, we always have this expression. We are talking about that. If you use the sword, a sword doesn't forgive mistakes. So you have to be 100 times more attentive when you use sword. And it's like literally look sometimes from point of view other people like dance, but from my point of view, it's like literally looks sometimes very beautiful in that way. I mean, the action we do, it's really beautiful and symbolic. And of course, it's a spiritual discipline, because Makuso we do, it's also kind of helps us kind of to reduce the quantity of thoughts in my mind, because as human beings, we know it's very difficult to be concentrated on the moment. These people who are represent of Eastern philosophy, they always kind of tell, oh, you have to be moment. It's like ichigo, ichi, one moment. One meeting can happen only one moment, so nothing is repeating in our life, but it's very difficult, as a human being. It's very difficult. We know this. We always kind of thinking about something else and trying to concentrate. So it's really helping in that sense, this rituals and etiquette, to be concentrated. And from psychological point of view, if I do makusa, my attention is improving. So I gave you an example. If I'm not attentive by default, but if I do practice some martial arts, especially if I do meditation, doesn't matter, by the way, active or passive meditation, my attention becomes better. So I train this ability because there's a cognitive function that I can train. Memory, can better because actions that we use in Aikido, they are more complicated by structure. I mean, they're not like in karate. That is why to remember some action, it's literally sometimes requires from me months. I don't know, 2 months. Yeah, especially if you're talking about kata. Sometimes for people years. Yeah, but anyway, it's improving my memory also. So that is why I always joking when I do training Aikido, and some people are older than me, and I'm telling, okay, this is like prophylacticus of dementia. I mean, but it's literally like that. I'm not joking. Because it's a new connections in our brain we create with these movements. Okay, sorry, I'm being very long, but I'm trying to be very short. So what I tried, I try to finish, and then we maybe talk a little bit, and maybe you have some questions. So what I tried to show you now, I had many students who are doing some researches in sports psychology. They were my students. I was a supervisor. And this is actually two of my favorite kind of topics. We were creating, of course, the researches together, and I really love this topic. And this work was made 10 years ago, and my student, she was kind of studying rituals, literally rituals in people who do some cyclic sport. It's like swimming. I don't remember what else she used. Swimming, athletics, and tennis. Yes, and she was kind of comparing them with martial artists. So how we used rituals, and you see that people who do cyclic sport, they, for example, kind of use they do more rituals during competition. So actually our idea was to look how people use these rituals when they have competition. Competition is a stress situation anyway. And when we are in stress, our anxiety level is increasing. That is why we kind of sometimes behave in a different way. And these people who practice cyclic sport, they use more rituals, and they consider themselves, as you can see, more superstitious. Superstition sometimes, you understand, yeah, this word is very connected with ritual. So, for example, if black cat goes in front of you, in Russian-speaking countries, for example, you have to do like this. You have to go another way. I don't know, another country. I mean, maybe some countries they love black belts, black cats. Sorry, black belts. I don't know, but it's like a superstition. Sorry. And so what we discovered actually, that when we have competition in Aikido, there is no competition, but we have exam. Yeah, but in karate, judo, taekwondo, they have competition, of course. And when this situation happens with this professional sport person, so psychic athletes, they more often use some things that they create themselves to help them to reduce this anxiety. And sometimes, for example, they wear special clothes, like, oh, I will kind of wear this t-shirt because it helped me last time to win, and etc. Yeah. So in martial arts, we don't do this. It's like if we have exam, it's like, okay, so the only superstition I know that we have in martial arts that we can't clean to wash our belt. And that is why actually this belt black. So when a person just start to do any martial arts, this person has white belt, but you can't wash it because it's your skills. And that is why when you have a lot of skills, your belt is black. So this is the only superstition I know. I mean, maybe more. There are more, but anyway, so this research kind of shows, that actually in martial arts tradition, these rituals already in the system. So, and this help us to reduce this anxiety. So this creates a psychological comfort, if I can say like this. Yeah, and that is why sorry, it's another word. That is why when we finished the study, we were recommending to coaches and to trainers who do the cyclic sport to use something that we have in martial arts tradition. Not like to follow the rules of Bushido. I mean, of course it's good, but it's like we were recommending them to do meditation. Yes, for example, like Mukso, it's very useful. Yeah, to pay attention more on spiritual things, not only on a physical component. It's important, of course, but anyway. So these very strong things in martial arts traditions, discipline and philosophy, and I really like these things. And we really can talk about this because it was an experiment. It's not like I mean, it's obvious maybe, but we proved this thing. So it's kind of very useful. And another one of my favorite work of my student that we also did together, I was supervising. The student, he was complaining comparing, martial arts athletes with some combat sport athletes. And he was comparing how they behave in terms of aggressive behavior. So who is more aggressive, for example, and what strategies use, for example, combat sport athletes and martial arts athletes. You have to understand anyway, both of us, I mean, the combat sports athletes and martial arts athletes, we use aggression. If even we talk about Aikido, of course, this art of peace, but anyway, the intention to do a technique usually starts from attack, or I grab or strike and etc. But it's aggressive intention anyway. But we just cope how to react, on these things. What can I do? It's a conflict situation also, it's a stressful situation. And as you can see, we also proved that, for example, combat sports athletes, they are kind of, in that sense, more competitive. So when there is some special test in psychology, the name of this test is Conflict Strategies of Thomas. Maybe you will be interested. You can also do it yourself. And this test shows how what strategies you most use in your conflict situations. And this work shows us that these combat sports athletes, they are more competitive and avoidant. So or they fight or they escape. But they are more aggressive. Comparing, I'm just talking about martial art. So we didn't compare with just people who doesn't practice any martial arts. But anyway, comparing to martial arts, they're more aggressive. And as you can see, that martial arts practitioners, they have more higher level of friendliness, they are more self-control, and they use different psychological mechanism of defenses. They mostly use intellectualization and rationalization, this mechanism. It's secondary type of mechanism. But comparing to, for example, people who do this contact sport, I mean combat sport, for this fighting, they're more anxious, they have more fear in conflict situation, and they mostly use primitive defense mechanism like denial and projection. So that was our findings. We did this work 10 years ago. But there are plenty, of course, of work about martial arts, about sport. I mean, I just showed you the work that I supervise. I mean, we did this research, but of course, there are many of them, these researchers. And so we have to understand, that actually etiquette, rituals, and they help us to keep some norms, to follow philosophical principles, and to keep some values, not only keep, but we also share these values with people. Yes, and sometimes, for example, if we are not talking about these rules, but sometimes we show with our behavior how we should behave with other people. And this is usually good example, yeah, when I see how this person behave, yes, it's like, oh, he's really sensei, yeah. And he's really kind of respectful and etc. But as I mentioned, of course, in Russian-speaking countries, in other traditions, not in Japanese, in Chinese, but we also explain, we use words. And the etiquette helps us. And actually, now now there is etiquette, not only in martial arts, but of course there are in different areas we have this etiquette, like I don't know, digital etiquette. Yes, if you message each other, you also use some definite words and etc. So in that sense, etiquette is everywhere. But this really beautiful part, I don't know if you agree with me or not, that we have in martial arts. So that actually was kind of my message, yeah, my lecture. So that you already have heard, yeah, this since that martial arts is not only about physical training. Yes, it's about respect, self-awareness, about harmony. Yes, and it helps us to be connected all over the world, as we can see even now, all of us who are participating, yeah, in today's lecture and who will be watching us later. Okay, so I finished my speech. Sorry, it was a little bit longer than I planned. So I believe I don't need PowerPoint, but if you have some questions, yeah, let's kind of discuss, yeah, these questions, comments. We still have some time, I think 10, 15 minutes we can take, yeah?
I have the question that what part of traditional etiquette in, for example, Aikido is most misunderstood by modern or new practitioners?
Actually, I have to ask you because you are my new practitioner. You can see that Nuria is my Aikido, yeah, pupil. I don't, because the word student is very university, yeah, but I'm sorry. I mean, in Russian language, we have different words like for this. I mean, we talk about, if you talk about students, it's literally student. But if we talk about martial arts students, like ученик, it's pupil, yeah. I don't know, how do you think? Because for me, it's already everything is obvious. The only thing I usually see, it's disrespectful behavior to the elders and the people, I mean, about status. These things I only see, but maybe you can tell more because you practice now. You can share with your experience. It's also interesting. Just tell, how do you think?
I think it's more about both Ray.
About
Ray.
bow. Ray. Okay.
Yes, bow.
Ah.
And like you shouldn't do it like this. You should eyes should keep like straight.
Yes, yes. But yeah, but it's more, it's how to say, it's a technical thing, to be honest. Yeah. Technical. So it's literally where to look at, yeah, how to put my hand. Yeah, it's a technical thing. And I mean, it's obvious, but you can practice and I mean, the main idea here, I think, that you understand that you should bow. That's the main idea. So this principle, because a technique will come later. But you understand that, okay, when I enter to the dojo, I have to show my respect with the bowing, yeah? You know that in every tradition there is this bowing. It's not only in martial arts. For example, in Asian tradition, when we see each other, we also kind of do like this, yeah? And not only in Asia, I believe in Europe, yeah, people also do like this. But in Japan, they have a certain degree of this, yeah, bow. It depends on the status, of course, on the person who stands in front of you. But it's, yeah, it's more about technical things. And so usually, yeah, people understand about ideas, yeah, but techniques will come later. Maybe some other, I mean, this is a good question. Maybe some other comments, not only me, because you guys also kind of have some experience. If even not, you can share with your ideas. What mistakes usually? What common mistakes?
I think in our dojo and what I've seen in New Zealand as well, this spiritual aspect is kind of pushed aside. Even bowing to Kamada was always explained to me as showing respect to O-sensei, to the founder, rather than having any like a spiritual sense. And I know like Christianity being the most like popular religion here, it's very similar to what you said about the Arabic countries when they didn't bow, they just placed their hand. Here it's also very like suspicious in terms of martial arts in general, like how spiritual it is, and you know. So me being Christian, it was always also like, oh, should I be doing this Aikido? And then, you know, we had conversations with our sensei, etc. And it's like, oh, we'll save. But there is this, what I'm trying to say, the spiritual aspect is kind of in the background. This physical aspect was always on the top. Nevertheless, the etiquette is still there. All those the motions we go through, absolutely. We also had a conversation at which point the dojo becomes dojo. At which point do you bow? Because when we start, we use a shared room in our local council, and normally the people who are before in front of us, they just have a dance classes there, and then we step in to that room, and now we turn it into dojo. So at which point do you actually start bowing? Yeah, as soon as the dancing people leave, or now we decided that when we put kamada, this is where it becomes dojo, and this is where you bow, and you need to take off your shoes. So things like that.
Yeah, that's true. And I remembered, by the way, that's really like that, because some people who are very religious, yeah, they when they see this bow, it's like, oh, and we explain in a lot that it's not religion, it's a part of ritual, it's a part of etiquette, and it has different meaning. Yes, it's more about philosophy and spirit. And because we practice Japanese martial arts, we of course follow their cultural, rituals and legacy, because they invented, this martial art. Yes, it's very common thing. Yeah, I remembered now. That's uh-huh.
Thank you so much for amazing lecture and presentation. So continuing for this like religion aspect. So for example, in Hombo Dojo, I saw and observed a lot of participants who came from the Arabic countries. So for example, the girls, they're wearing the hijab, the men like, I'm absolutely 100% sure that in their home dojo, maybe they're doing like this, they're not bowing. But in the Hombo Dojo, because the majority, we are bowing,
Yes, it is.
we are keep ritual. How place or how majority effective for the person, that person changing, because I saw how to say, like, body language tell me that it's for them is uncomfortable for bowing, and for kamidza, but they are doing. So my question, how we can explain that this is like hombu dojo effect of the majority affecting each other, is like a lot of people, what another people like thinking about me, it was like be the same, what is it?
I think all of the things you mentioned, and like magic of Hombo Dojo. No, I'm just joking, but it's about etiquette, literally. So you see, it's like you entering and you're visiting, you're a guest there. If you come to Japan, if you come to Hombu Dojo, it's you are a visitor, you guest, and as a guest, I have to respect. It's an etiquette. I mean, it's not only about martial arts. If someone of you decided to invite me to your house, I have to respect, of course, the rules of your house. Yeah. But in martial arts tradition, it's very, very strong. These things, this part. It's like it's literally. Sometimes you're right in that sense. I also paid attention because I was visiting many dojos, not in Japan, but many dojos when people are practice this Aikido, and really sometimes look at, oh, this person came from that country. Let's look at him, how he does this bow. I mean, not everyone like this. Yeah, it's not always about my majority. I mean, majority, yes, it's like if everyone does like this, I will be looking very weird if I do in the opposite way, especially if there is some rule. I mean, some people doing, but this more about psychological features of some person. It's like how I evaluate it. It's also, by the way, depends on the country. So some countries, I mean, maybe some cultures in them kind of more attentive to these things. But when, for example, when I was traveling, I always was traveling. Most of my cases, I was visiting another dojos alone. I mean, I didn't have any Aikido colleagues from my country. And that is why attention, not to rituals was, but the attention was how I do a technique more. Because, or if I master, they of course more attentive to this and they kind of evaluate me. This is human beings, I mean, just feature, psychological features, evaluation. Yeah. Okay. But when these people who kind of from different culture, they come to Japan, if even they're from Arabic countries, and I have to respect the rules of Hombu Dojo. So if you see what the things kind of happen when they had this festival of martial arts. Actually, it's not a festival, I'm sorry, it's World Combat Games. This is a correct name for this, because in Aikido you don't have fight. That is why I use the word festival, but that was World Combat Games. They visited Riyadh, so and I'm a guest there. If even I'm kind in that sense the representative of a culture, but I come to another country where I should also, in that sense, follow some etiquette. So the first thing, status, second age. It's not about gender, but it's like, okay, if my status is high, but I respect this culture, this house. So I'm a guest here. So and I won't do this ritual. But I believe. I mean, it's my proposition. They were negotiating about this. I don't think it was very easy. Like, oh, guys, you're coming here. You Japanese don't do a bow. They represent us of a culture. I believe they were talking about this since, of course, they are negotiating and they were kind of made in this conclusion how to do this better. But yeah, in that sense, I mean, this girls maybe it's uncomfortable for them because it's some contradiction with their personal things. But in that sense, okay, I do this bow like I have to do it here. But if I understand that my personal value is my personal value, and now no one will take it from me, it doesn't matter which way I do the bow, like this or like this, or I will be respectful. I mean, it's my opinion, of course. But it's about etiquette also. It's about, I mean, anyway, not only etiquette, it's about groups, norms in groups all exist. It's the same thing, yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's really interesting. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Okay, some other questions, comments? We can use our time, more time. We started 5 minutes late.
Hello.
Yes, yes.
Hello. Sorry,
Yeah.
I have question. First,
Yes,
thank
yes.
you for the good presentation. It was very useful and helpful. Let me introduce myself like a bit, then I'll ask the question.
Okay.
First, I'm a martial art instructor, firstly for Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay.
Now I'm transferring my students to Aikido.
Okay.
I have also practiced Aikido and have master degree. My question is on what are the first rituals that because my mainly students are kids,
Uh,
at young age? At what are the first rituals, and uh, should I use, should I implement in the dojo to transfer them into Aikido?
okay, yeah, thanks. But tell me, where from what country?
I'm from Macedonia.
Okay, Macedonia. Cool. It's a really lot of
Yeah.
countries. I'm just glad that a lot of people from different countries are here. Actually, jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu or Japanese jiu-jitsu.
No, Japanese jiu-jitsu.
I think it's very similar. So you have for this uniform, you have this
Yeah, yeah,
bows. Yeah, I mean the
yeah.
rituals are the same.
Yeah, the bows are standing mainly, but the rainbow in Aikido, I'm trying to introduce them now early. Should I, or what other rituals should I use them? How?
Okay,
Because
yeah.
they're mainly kids, and they that's kind of new to them.
How
How
old?
to approach the
Yeah, how old are them?
six,
Six.
six,
Oh my
seven
God,
years. Yeah,
they're very
yeah,
small in that sense.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, they're very small, In that age,
yeah,
I mean, for children in that age, it's very complicated anyway to see all the things. So the
yeah,
main thing I believe is better to pay attention on discipline, of course. So
mm,
in that sense, if you were doing some rituals, the rituals are the same. It's a bowing, so you respect the status, you sit in line, you do
yeah,
a bow. So I mean, they're the same.
yeah,
But you should pay attention that they explaining that you kind of do it. Please keep your back straight. Just keep silence, and
yeah,
because their attention is they're very kind of in that sense flexible. They can't keep their attention. And the only thing you
yeah,
can explain, I believe there is a difference. I didn't practice Japanese jiu-jitsu, but I know that there are some techniques from jiu-jitsu in Aikido actually.
yeah,
That
yeah,
in Aikido there is a figure of a founder, O Sensei, and it has
mm,
he plays a huge role in that sense. And when you kind of in dojo, we always have a photography, a portrait actually of
yeah, yeah,
Morihei
yeah.
Shiba. And in that sense, this is, I believe, the only difference. This is another guy than in jiu-jitsu. But you should tell them this is like O Sensei.
Yeah,
We have to thank him that he kind of explained us how to do martial arts without making harm another person. So we can do technique in a kind way. So I believe just small things. But rituals are the same. Just do it, do it, do it, do it. And if I don't
yeah,
know how it's in your country. Because in some countries it's forbidden also. I mean, some cultural things can influence. But in our countries, for example, if they don't follow some rules, if they are late in, yeah, we can punish in that sense.
mm,
For example, person have to
yeah,
push up. And while he didn't push up, I don't allow him to come. If, for example, their
mm,
children, their attention very, I mean, switchable. If, for example, they do
yeah,
technique, one is kind of laughing. Okay, my trainer did like that with us. He was stopping us, and the whole group was punished. Like
uh-huh,
punishing.
yeah,
Or it's like I don't know. So you can use some rituals that you don't
mm,
use in jiu-jitsu. I mean, in that sense, you're more professional, but I believe they're common. It's like a punishment. Okay, we will read these rituals the whole lesson next week. I'm just joking, but I mean the idea
yeah,
is just show and to pay attention on discipline. But they're universal. Just you can and you explain them, explain, just show, explain because they are very flexible now. They have a lot of possibility.
mm,
They literally kind of catch all your words, all your actions. And I don't know,
yeah,
but maybe it's forbidden, yeah, at your places to be more strict because in Europe I know that. When they do like safety falling ukemi waza, the European
mm,
ukemi is very beautiful. It's very soft. Maybe if you
mm,
were visiting the seminar of Christian this year, I really like the way
yeah,
how they do the safety falling.
yeah,
But
yeah,
one of the ideas, to be honest, because if someone hurt me and I broke something, I can kind of complain to the police. So,
Hmm.
I mean, in some countries they have such
Yeah.
law, and sometimes
Yeah.
people are afraid of that. Oh, if I will be kind of doing very strict, he will be complaining. I don't know. I mean, in America, I know that some cases may happen. That is why, by the way, maybe not always paying attention a lot on this spiritual part, because in our countries it was old. So our teacher will punish us. I remember. So to show us this discipline and discipline
Mm.
rituals. So I believe it's the same, yeah, rituals. If I answered somehow on your question.
Yeah, yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, some other comments, questions? No questions. Maybe some comments, I don't know. If you want to tell something, just tell something, and then we will be finishing our today's lecture.
It's getting really late here in Australia. It's almost 9 p.m. and my wife is calling me, but I wanted to say it was absolutely amazing lecture. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. It was very, very helpful to see that from this point of view. From the point of view of a psychologist, it's super good. So thank you so much for having me, guys.
Yes,
I
thanks.
really need to go.
Thanks to you. Yes, okay,
Bye bye.
goodbye. Bye, bye. Okay, who wants to tell us something?
And it was really interesting to hear about how rituals can increase our or decrease our anxiety, and it helps to be more calm during competition, etc., or examination.
Mhm. Yeah. For me, sometimes kind of these things are very obvious, but it's kind of also very interesting why I started to do these lectures also. That martial arts tradition, it's not only about one art. Martial arts tradition has a lot of psychological knowledge, but even more than we have in psychology as a science. So, I mean, this is my point of view. I'm absolutely sure about this because it's not only about psychology, it's more about it's also about philosophy, but a lot of psychological knowledge in martial arts tradition. But it's very funny for me because sometimes when you see some really good senseis and when they see, okay, you are associate professor of psychology, wow, it's like they sometimes, not all of them, but they sometimes have this idea. It's like that I know about psychology more, but it's not like that. I mean, they just don't know that they know this. So that is why my intention was also to um, tell about this, to talk about this. It's not my first lecture because it's really a lot of wisdom there. So I really recommend not only practice, but also read some books on Eastern philosophy. It's we have in martial arts also
I
a lot
just
of
want to
philosophy.
add that the Shihans, especially in Hombu Dojo, always saying that from the first step in the tatami, they can realize which level you are. And
Exactly.
that's all. I mean, like not bowing, before bowing, from first step, they absolutely understand which level, who are you,
Yes,
because action is continuing, is like kind of like your spirit, what you can, what you cannot to do. So I think it's like much more deeper.
yes.
Just not about ritual or etiquette. It's I don't know how to say, but it's kind of like psychology, deeper things. It's like maybe
Yeah,
like basic who you are, your identity, or something else.
yes. It's like that's true, by the way, and you know that it's very funny. Also, I mean, I believe you also do the same thing. You can see how the person just entering the dojo. You also understand something about this person, and for me, it's very easy. The first thing when I start to do a technique with someone, only he do that like kata tedori, the grab. Everything is already, I know everything. So it's like, yeah. But this it's not about knowledge. It's not about this intellectual thing. It's more about something like
Sensitive,
intuition, yeah,
maybe.
about sensitivity and something that behind your cognition, mind, I don't know, in intellectual things. So it's in English is not my native. I can't find sometime definite word, but it's more than just intellectual thing. But science is always about intellectual things. So in martial arts, there are many science, not only psychology. It's also you have to know physics, you have to know anatomy, you have to be able to help another person if he injured. So many things, philosophy. You can be also an artist, not only martial artist. Yeah, you create music, poetry, pictures, etc. So because it's about principle. So the true master of martial arts, it's master everywhere. That's why all sensei and senseis are respectful. The true, I mean, it's a little bit different level. Yeah. But
Thank
self-discipline,
you.
they use,
Thank you for
yeah, sorry.
uh, thank you for this presentation. And also, because I have practiced in Aikido already for some time, it helps be more involved in the presentation. It's like, oh, I know it, something like that. And also, it's different, like more deeper view. Aikido. It was really interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. So, thanks. So, some other comments? No. Okay, thank you that you kind of gave me this possibility to talk about the things with words, not only with actions. Yeah, it was really a cool time and experience. And I will post, this, not post, download, how to say, will put, sorry, my English left me. I will put this lecture on YouTube. Yes, and if some comments, we will be happy. Yes, and hope to see you soon. Some of you I will see in our real dojo. Some of you I will hope to see online dojo. Yeah, Aida. But maybe we have a
Thank you
plan.
so much. Yeah.
Some of you, yeah, I hope to meet in real dojo. I mean, in real life one day. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. So I will
Thank you.
stop the
See
Yeah,
recording.
you.
thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.